When Georges Bizet entered the Opéra Comique in Paris on March 3rd, 1875, for the premiere of his opera Carmen, he was very happy. The theater had commissioned an opera from him, and he was very pleased with what he had created. After reading Prosper Mérimée novel Carmen, he decided to write an opera based on it. Some of the violence would have to be toned down, as he knew that the French opera-going public would have found it offensive. Georges Bizet was born in Paris in 1838. His parents were well off and sophisticated, so that his talent had been recognized at a very young age, and he had been an amazing piano prodigy. He was accepted at the Paris Conservatory when he was only 8 and had been performing concertos since before he was a teenager. He won the prestigious Prize of Rome and got to spend 3 years in Italy. To write the libretto for his opera, he wanted the best. That meant Henri Meillac and Ludovic Halevi. Both were well known and had written many great librettos. Halevi was, in fact, his wife's cousin, and his father had been one of Bizet's music teachers, along with Charles Gounod. The librettist and his wife were all members of well-to-do, non-practicing Jewish families. After such a spectacular beginning, Bizet's career had not been what he had expected. He had been composing operas, orchestral pieces, chamber music, and songs for years. Some of them were modest successes, but none of them had really caught on with the public and with the critics. Carmen was a chance to have a really great success. Now, the Opera Comique was one of 2 major opera houses in Paris. The Palais Garnier, the other, featured grand opera, where spoken dialogue wasn't allowed and a full ballet was required. Carmen originally had spoken dialogue, and so it was shown at the Opéra Comique. Nowadays, it is mostly performed without any spoken dialogue. By the way, comique didn't imply funny. After the rip-roaring overture, the audience responded well to the first scene. But by the end of the scene, they knew that something was wrong, but didn't know what. Things got worse and worse. It seemed the audience just didn't know what to make of an opera about such immoral characters. This was not suitable on a French stage. It was about Spain. It was about gypsies, no less. The French were not known for admiring their neighbors, for after all, they weren't French. The critics were devastating, boring, vulgar, not melodic enough, tedious, too Wagnerian. The opera had a short run and was destined for oblivion. Then, 3 months to the day later, Bizet died of a heart attack at the age of 37. Naturally, the critics were uneasy. Had their cruelty had some role in the composer's death? A rumor spread that he had committed suicide. This rumor was revived years later when his son, Jacques Bizet, took his own life. After Bizet's death, his wife Geneviève remarried, and she hosted one of the most sophisticated salons in Paris. Her son Jacques attended the best schools and, in fact, was Oscar Wilde's roommate. It was only after Jacques' suicide that she learned that Georges had had another son with his mother's maid when he was only 22. When Bizet died, interest in the opera was ignited, and within a year, a complete turnabout occurred. Carmen was being performed all over Europe and America. Many great composers of the day had a chance to see it, and they were munificent in their praise. Tchaikovsky said, "Here, thank God at last, is somebody with ideas in his head." Brahms saw it 20 times and would have gone to the ends of the earth to embrace Bizet. Even Wagner liked it, even though it was by a Frenchman, but at least it wasn't by Meyerbeer. For once, Brahms, Tchaikovsky, and Wagner were in agreement. Here, Wagner and Brahms are fighting to see who liked the opera more. The opera may very well be the most famous opera in the world, and as a result, it has had an enormous influence on our entire culture, as we will see and point out as we look at the opera. After a short overture, the curtain rises, and we are in the main square of a town in Spain near Seville. The square is filled with crowds of people, including a detachment of soldiers, who are acting as police and are known as dragoons. A pretty young girl from the country arrives. It is Micaela, and she is looking for her boyfriend, a soldier named Don José. It's lunchtime, and the girls from the local cigarette factory come out for their break, including a woman that every one of the guys can't wait to look at. It's the gypsy girl, Carmen. Yes, to the French, as well as to most Europeans, gypsies were considered to be dishonest and dangerous. But that only makes Carmen more attractive. She makes a living by helping a gang of smugglers cross the border by distracting any soldier on duty. She may even be working in the local factory to gain access to the local soldiers as well, so that they will do her bidding when they are on duty at the border. She certainly puts all her seductive powers to work on Don José, who tries to ignore her. But poor sweet Micaela eventually vanished from this young man's mind, though he does make a half-hearted attempt at resisting. However, when she throws that rose at him and he picks it up, we know he is lost. She is beautiful, she is sexy, and she sings what may be the most famous aria in all of opera, the habanera, in which she tells her ideas about love. A habanera, by the way, is a well-known Cuban dance rhythm. Carmen is the antithesis of Micaela, and inevitably the audience falls for her stunning independence of social rules. This aria has inspired countless interpretations. Here are some of them. Some are serious, some are not.
Love's a baby that grows up wild, and he don't do what you want him to. Love ain't nobody's angel child, and he won't pay any mind to you.
L'amour est un oiseau rebelle que nul ne peut apprivoiser. Et c'est bien en vain qu'on l'appelle s'il lui convient de refuser.
Don Jose and Micaela have found one another, and she manages to break Carmen's spell, at least for 15 minutes. When the women go back to work, a huge commotion breaks out. Carmen and another girl are fighting. Of course, Carmen, the gypsy outsider, gets blamed, and she is arrested. Don Jose is appointed her guard. But she invites him to come with her to the local tavern of Lila Spacia. He can't resist, and he lets her escape. Don Jose is arrested, demoted, and taken off to prison as the first act ends. It is several months later now, and Carmen is with her friends at Lily's Passier's Tavern, where they serenade the crowd with a gypsy song. When Escamillo, a famous bullfighter, enters the tavern, they all join him, their hero, in a rousing rendition of the famous Toreador song.
Elise, keep an eye out for the guy with the peanuts.
There's no guy with peanuts, dear.
Geez, no beer, no opera dogs.
Shh!
Toreador, don't spit on the floor. Please use a cuspidor. That's what it's for.
Robert, stop fooling around. Homer, stop encouraging him.
Don't stifle the boy, Marge. We're supposed to encourage him.
Shh!
Her friends, the smugglers, are planning a job, and they convince the women to join them. But Carmen relents and says she can't do it because she has to wait for Don Jose. They, of course, find this hysterical, and it turns out that this is one of the best quintets in all of opera, in my opinion. Then Don Jose shows up, carrying the flower Carmen had thrown at him, and sings another gorgeous aria about how the flower had kept him going while in jail. Here is the great Beniamino Gigli singing the flower song in Italian.
Il fior che avevi a me tu dato, nella prigione io l'ho serbato, anche appassito il picciol fior, il suo profumo aveva il cuore. Notte di nel carcere oscuro, io così, Carmen, te lo giuro, mi inebriai del cavolo e ti invocai color d'oro al cuore.
She wants him to join them. And when there is a trumpet sounding a call to arms, she tries to get him to defect. He has still a bit of sense of duty, and he refuses. But the die is cast when Zuniga, Jose's superior, arrives for a date with Carmen. He orders Jose to leave, but Don Jose is mad with jealousy, and the men start fighting. The crowd joins in on Don Jose's side, and Zuniga is taken off for God knows what fate. But now Don Jose has no choice but to go off with Carmen and her smuggler friends.
Il va pleuvoir des coups.
Au diable le jaloux. Amour, amour. Belle officier, l'amour vous joue en ce moment de la civile tour.
Carmen has, of course, become the epitome of love. And Don Jose, as well, has been given similar recognition as in this Broadway show.
I'm Don Jose of Far Rockaway, the man all women whisper of. Don Jose, the Joe DiMaggio of love.
We are now up in the mountains, where the gang is getting ready to do their smuggling. The women are busy telling fortunes, and it looks like Carmen's fate is not a very good one, but she shines it off. And Micaela arrives looking for Don Jose. You've got to hand it to this country girl. Her devotion to Don Jose is boundless. But she comes with bad news. Don Jose's mother is dying, and she has asked to see her son again. Don Jose couldn't possibly say no, and goes off with her to Carmen's typical petulant chagrin. final act takes place outside the bullfight arena in Seville, where Escamillo is the main attraction. Carmen proudly arrives with him, and the whole crowd is very excited, as they are about to see a furious bull being turned into a large pile of fresh pot roast. Don Jose has returned from the village and has followed Carmen to Seville. Her friends warn her that they spotted Jose in the crowd, but she refuses to leave. When the crowd enters the arena, Carmen and Don Jose are left alone on the stage. This dramatic moment is chilling. He tells her he still loves her and begs her to give up Escamillo. She offers him nothing but sarcastic nastiness. "Kill me! I won't let anyone tell me what to do." Goaded like this, he has no choice but to kill her, as we hear the fate music again. The opera ends as the crowd emerges to find him with her body.
Frappe-moi donc, ou laissez-moi passer. Cette boîte, autrefois, tu me l'avais donnée. Tiens! Eh bien,
Hollywood, of course, had its own takes on how the opera ends.